Hi, this is Scott Watkins at ASU Karsten Golf Course. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about controlling distance. If I asked you, what do you hit from 150? Most of you would answer with a certain club in mind. 7-iron, 5-iron, 7-wood, whatever it may be. Well, my answer to that question would be, it depends. And the reason I say that is I didn't give you enough information to really answer the question, because what if the shot's uphill versus downhill? What if it's hot out or cold out? Is it into the wind or downwind? Am I in San Diego, California, Phoenix, Arizona, or Aspen, Colorado? Because what elevation you're at is going to have some degree of an effect to how far the ball flies. Now, once the ball gets airborne in a golf shot, the part of the total distance that you can control the most is how far it flies. You don't necessarily have nearly the control over the bounce and roll that it has, even though in a lot of cases we're putting spin on it to make it stop quicker. But we truly have the most control over the distance in the air. Now, if I asked you a second question and said, okay, how far do all your irons fly? More than likely, you're going to answer the question that with a yardage that ends in 5 or 0. So that means you're going to tell me 120, 130, 140, 150, or 125, 35, 45, 55, so on and so forth. But I'm kind of amazed how almost every golfer that plays a game has 10-yard gaps and they always end in 5 and 0. So my yardage is in the summer here in Phoenix, Arizona, on a warm sunny day, flat level, no wind, kind of our neutral conditions, let's say, here locally. My irons fly with about a 13-yard gap in between each iron. Now that doesn't mean how much they're going to roll the same amount, because the short irons will stop quicker and the long irons will roll more. But I know that the flight of the ball is about 13-yard spacings or gaps between each iron. And in the summer, my pitching wedge does start right about 130. But that means my 9-iron is going to go 143, then I go up to 156, 169, so on and so forth. In the winter, it shrinks a little bit. I'm closer to 11, maybe 12 yards somewhere in there because of the colder temperature. So it does shrink a little bit. But you need to know with a full swing how far do all your irons fly. Well, how do you figure that out? Well, if you have access to a launch monitor like we have here at ASU Karsten, and there's various places around the country or even in the Valley of the Sun here in Arizona that have them, but if you have access to a launch monitor, that's great because it'll tell you right away how far that ball flew. If you don't, you want to go out to a golf course where you can hit some shots that under neutral conditions, you know, a warm sunny day, level shot, and find out how far you are from the flag, hit your shot, and then go look for your ball mark. And then do the math. Was the ball mark short of the pin? Well, you're going to have to subtract a few yards based on how far short the ball mark was. And obviously the opposite if the ball mark is past the pin. But you need to know how far your clubs fly and what kind of gaps you have. Those of you that don't hit the ball as far might find that your gaps are less than 10 yards. And if you're a big bomber that hits drives, you know, 320, 340, 350, it could be up closer to 15-yard gaps. But you need to know that for proper club selection. So when you're out in the fairway and you've got 150 yards again to that pin, you need to figure out, okay, with the type of shot I'm going to have coming in here, whether it's higher, lower, or medium, based on your type of trajectory, how far do I need to fly the ball to play for some bounce and roll? And it's that how far I need to fly the ball that should help make this club selection based on your knowledge of how far your clubs fly and the gaps that they have. So what I would like to have you do is start working on charting out how far each one of your clubs fly. If you find out that you have a 10-yard space between your pitching wedge and your 9-iron and all of a sudden a 15-yard space or gap between the 9 and the 8, and it goes to 12, you know, it gets a little erratic, you might also check your loft and lies. Sometimes clubs aren't bent exactly the way they're supposed to be, and that can happen even out of the factory. It's happened to me even when I was on the PGA Tour, coming out of the tour department. I had a 5-iron and 6-iron one year, brand new out of the box, that had the exact same loft. So check those lofts and lies. The lie is the angle that it's bent at, but the loft is what's going to make it go higher in the various different distances. So I hope this helps, but really you need to make sure that you know how far your clubs fly. That's the part of distance, once again, that you can control the most. So I hope this helps, and have fun on the course.